speaking of willing and intentional lying, here's George Santos. Have you heard about this guy? He is amazing.
Not heard of this guy.
Oh, okay. He just got elected to Congress from New York. This is the list of things he lied about. I know you don't like Reddit, but I can't open the Washington Post article, so I just take somebody copy pasting it, you know?
Nice.
uh, George Santos has lied a lot, and not even like about basic things we can look up. He went to a prestigious private school. He never went there. There's no record of him ever being there. Um, let's see. Graduated from Brock College in 2010 with a bachelor's degree in economics and finance. Said that he had a GPA average and he never attended it. He just didn't go. He's never been there. He's just making shit up. It's great. Let me see. He claimed,
Politician is a serial liar. What else is new?
well, mostly it's exaggerations. You know,
It was a joke.
I know. Usually when they lie, and it's some sort of tiny exaggeration or a twist, not, hey, I got a degree at this college that he's never been to. This is a new level. This is great. Um,
He's
never got a degree.
exploring new territory.
Yeah,
You know?
never got a degree from NYU, even though he claims he did. Like, that's not something you lie about because we can just look and find out. Um, Grandson of Holocaust refugees, also not true. We can just find out that you are not, in fact, the grandson of Holocaust refugees. We can look that up, guy. Um,
Incredible.
there's more. Worked at Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. No, he didn't. Um, let's see.
What's the point you're
Rep-
getting at?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a point for this one. I'm rambling for
Oh,
this.
okay.
I do not know what to make of this guy. I don't know what to do with him. Uh, can we just kick him out? I don't think they can. Uh, if I remember correctly, the House district doesn't have like a recall process um, because the terms are only 2 years. But what do we do with him?
Well, sounds like he's serving for 2 years.
I know. Well, is that it? We just he claimed to have lost 4 employees at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, and
Holy fuck.
it's not true. He just made it up.
I get it. That's why I'm laughing.
I don't know what to do with this. Like, can I run as a Harvard law professor
Yes,
and win?
probably.
Um, I've mentioned, I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, but I think we are in the middle of the disinformation age. There was a Bronze Age, there was a Stone Age, there was a Space Age, there was an Information Age when the internet came up, and now we're in the disinformation age. And I am, I don't know what to do about it. I guess I'll just contribute with the channel and just fill everybody with disinformation.
Yo,
It's going to
it's
be
all in
great.
the strategy.
All right. This will be great.
How many people
So,
are a little too trusting nowadays, actually, when it comes to not each other. They're not trusting enough with each other. But they are substantially trusting of authority figures. And so when someone presents themselves um, as an authority figure, people don't vet that claim anymore.
hmm
They don't they don't take a critical look at the actual authority that this person has, and they don't and having blindly assumed that they do have the authority they say they do, they will trust whatever it is that this person has to say. Um, And we're starting to see the effects of that, I think. I mean, and even if somebody is an authority on something, doesn't mean that they're correct.
Right.
People have lost, I think, their sort of their critical eye when it comes to authority and the things that come from authority, both in vetting the authority and vetting what they're saying. And that's a bit of a problem, I think. This is an extreme example of it. It seems this person is saying that he is a major authority figure on several topics, and it got him elected to federal office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's going to get to vote. Maybe if they're smart, they don't put him on any committees or anything like that, and just he still gets to vote for the budget and all kinds of fun stuff. It's going to be great. Mm, I think. Oh, since we're still on the House, here we go. Remember last week? Does not the all the crazy speaker votes and stuff like that?
Yeah,
And then I asked, can a Democrat also trigger the thing? And it seems they can. Uh, the rules put in place does not prohibit a minority from bringing forth the speaker vote again.
nice.
A speaker will be
We're gonna have
removed from the
speaker
House.
votes every week.
We're
Let's
going to
do it.
have speaker votes every week, and it.
So the government will stall out,
Uh huh.
and great, perfect. I love it.
That's
The less that they're able to fuck up, the better.
the shutting down of the government is a fuck up.
True.
It
Well,
it
they'll have
should
to figure out.
continue.
Although I think they did just sign um, a new omnibus, didn't they?
Mm, I didn't think so. I mean,
Or was I looking at old news? Because
the debt ceiling is going to happen on like Thursday. We're going to hit the
nice.
debt ceiling on Thursday, which means that if they do not pass one by Thursday, some sort of raising of the debt ceiling, which is what they always do, uh, it will cause a shutdown on Friday, if I remember correctly. So we may be at government shutdown by this time next week. And honestly, I think that's what a lot of those uh, radical right wing guys like Matt Gaetz want. They want the government shutdown.
Well, maybe it'll happen. We'll see.
So yeah, if just 5 Republicans in the House join together with the United Democratic Caucus, the Speaker will be ousted and nothing can be done until a new Speaker is selected. So yeah, if one Democrat calls for the Speaker vote again, that vote goes up to a vote, and it could just get shot down. Uh,
Maybe they'll force them to actually work together for once.
I don't know. If it happens, I will be shocked and amazed, and I will bring it back up and let you know you were right, that they all worked together to get a thing done.
I think there's going to end up being that has to be what happens. I mean, it's going to be there's too much political pressure that occurs the longer the government's shut down. Because when the government shuts down, people stop getting paychecks.
Right.
And of course, those people have families and they have friends, and those people then hear about the horrible politicians that are causing the government to remain shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And it forces a certain amount of expediency on those topics from the politicians. And I think that the end result will be that even if we do end up shutting down for a month, 2 months, 3, that's about as long as it'll be. And then, of course, federal employees get back paid for anything that they any loss compensation. It's just a matter of, do they have the funds to support themselves until the back pay comes about?
Does it actually cost more?
What?
I think it costs more. I mean, we lose money. We waste money. The
Well,
government
that's what the
shutdown
government
cost the
does.
economy $11 billion.
Well, the economy, yes, because the money is not flowing from the government at that point, and the economy is partially running on money coming from the government, right? Like the government has contracts with a lot of major companies that those contracts are not being paid while while the government's shut down, and so on and so forth, and the same for employees not being paid for however many months at a time.
Mm-hmm. So I said,
Those employees, they stop spending because they don't have the money to spend, and they need to save what they can for essentials. And the economy does suffer.
okay. Is anything positive come from that suffering? I dig that sometimes you got to do hard things to accomplish a goal, but I don't see any benefit to such a shutdown.
Well, it depends on what the shutdown achieves. If certain things go into bills or certain things get taken out of bills that are necessary for the government to continue, or if it ends up being one of those things where, for once, our people, you know, made concessions and worked together on something, that's also a win.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there is benefit to it.
Hypothetically, there could be. I
Yes, and
suspect that there won't be.
we'll have to see if we even shut down and what happens in the aftermath of that. But until that does, then it's just speculation. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. We've got Governor DeSantis targets trendy ideologies at Florida universities. So I think his exact word was, we must ensure that our institutions of higher learning are focused on academic excellence in the pursuit of truth, not the imposition of trendy ideologies. I don't like the idea of the governor of Florida telling colleges what they should and shouldn't teach.
colleges be focused on academic excellence.
And that is a wishy-washy word. That means don't teach racism. Don't teach critical race theory. Don't teach that trans people are humans.
Why not just teach your subject?
The subject is
If your subject
how.
is electrical engineering,
Uh-huh.
teach electrical engineering.
Great. And if your subject is redlining and how it affected black people in the country,
I don't think anyone has a degree in redlining.
they have a degree in sociology. And there are people going to school for sociology. And if that is an important part of sociology, it's an important part of um, how our system was set up. It's an important part of history. What if the history of uh, the country makes the country seem kind of racist? Mr. DeSantis would call that a trendy ideology, and it ought not be taught.
I think that we looked through the last contentious bill that was passed on this and found that it actually wasn't even that bad.
Oh, because it was.
Like, we looked at it together.
Yeah, we
right?
looked at that the Don't Say Gay bill, which is what
Okay.
some people are calling it, and it is. What takeaway did you have from that? Maybe you and I came.
Not that bad. Not as bad as people were making it out to sound. I mean, we looked at the actual provisions of the bill, and you agreed with like 8 out of 9 of them.
Right, because that ninth one is so vague
And
that
that
anybody
ninth
can
one
do
is vague.
anything
Yes.
they want with it. They can turn that vague into trendy ideology. You know?
And again, I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out.
I
But
don't want to see how it plays
this,
out.
but him talking about trendy ideologies, what is this in reference to? Is this?
That,
I mean, this is just a quote by him. It's not
right.
legislative action.
We saw his legislative action, and I think this is telling us where he wants it to go. He, it is vague, and what does he want out of it? He wants it to stop teaching certain things in colleges.
Well, look, we'll see how it goes. It's fair if that's where he wants it to go. Fine.
That's
The
not fine.
legislation's
That's
been
bad.
passed.
Okay.
No, listen, the legislation's been passed. The way it works is that the legislation gets passed, the executive signs it, and then it has to be enforced.
Mm-hmm.
And the judiciary is the one that's responsible for enforcing it. So not only do you have to have DeSantis wanting it to play out that way, but you have to have the judiciary that enforces it in that way. And I don't think they will. So
Hmm. So we have to drink the bleach before we find out if it's dangerous. I'm. This
well, we have to pass the
seems.
bill to find out what's in it.
Eh, no. We have to
Oh, you
find
don't
out
like
how
that quote?
it's a
Come on.
dumbass quote. I know what it is. Nancy said it because she's stupid, and yeah, Nancy said it and she's dumb. It was a shitty way to explain it, and she's stupid for saying it. Um, no, sometimes you can see a problem before it happens, and I won't.
Potential problem.
I think this is poisonous, and I don't think we should drink it. I don't think we should go down this path because it's dangerous and terrible. And we have to go down the dangerous and terrible path before we know it's dangerous and terrible. Well, sometimes you can tell that it's dangerous and terrible.
We'll see.
I've never
I mean,
drank
I've mentioned it
bleach,
before. I
but
think that you're very doom and gloom on this.
yes, because it is a doom and gloom thing. I'm looking at it and it looks doom and gloom, so I'm telling you, hey, this is doom and gloom. And you're like, nah, it's not doom and gloom yet. Uh,
And it probably won't be, is what I'm saying. I
I
mean,
think,
I don't think it will be.
okay, you don't think it will be doom and gloom. All right. I'm worried that it will be. Um, I just like this headline because I think it's funny. Republicans want 12 randos to decide if your emergency abortion is legal.
We're the randos.
That's it's a funny wording, but it's the people on the jury,
All right.
and that
The,
counts as 12 randos, right? A jury
I,
of your peers.
I guess technically speaking, it does actually. Yeah.
I just like the headline. I know that it's being unfair that the 12 randos are actually a jury of your peers, which is how most things are decided. But it's I think it's funny.
Well, I mean, I haven't even seen what this is all about.
Uh, I know.
Like I said, I spent the week on healthcare. So
And this will kind of lead into that maybe. Their proposed abortion ban could let a jury decide if the emergency abortion was really necessary. So if a woman goes to the doctor, has an emergency abortion, that has to go through a trial and a jury to decide whether or not it was necessary. And if it wasn't necessary, I would assume you get legal uh, consequences and punishment. And again, somewhat similar to the college thing. This isn't. I don't think this will ever make it to a court. I think the doctors will just quit doing it because they don't want to go to court. Similar,
wait, is this in the third trimester?
probably. Doctors who want to perform an emergency abortion without risking legal penalties will have to win over 12 people who
No, the
likely answer.
paragraph below that is what I
Okay.
was just looking at.
Banned in Virginia at the start of the third trimester. At the start of the third trimester, except when it's necessary to prevent the patient's health or life. The proposed bill would not only narrow the window of the time when people can get abortions, but also permit abortions after a certain point of cases of rape or incest, and if the patient's life is in danger, facing a serious risk of substantial, irreversible impairment of major bodily function. So
Okay, so
the
it's
doctor,
before the third trimester. Fuck, trimester.
Hmm.
Trimester. Before the third trimester, uh, that they're trying to restrict it to, and after a certain period of time, I think I saw above 15 weeks. Is that what it said?
Hmm.
That you have to have a case for it,
Hmm.
like it's rape or incest or something like
Hmm.
that.
Or patient's life. So this is a doctor making a decision that is being hampered by the government. A thing that conservatives have been yelling at me about when socialized medicine comes up that they don't like, but they like it
Yeah,
here.
imagine that. The government steps in and fucks things up again.
Right. So why are conservatives pushing this bill if it causes the government to get in between a patient and the doctor?
Because conservatives believe that life begins at conception.
Okay.
I mean, we already had this conversation. Like,
So so the idea that I'm going to point you toward is that state by state laws on this is a dumbass way to do things. Having Virginia have one set of rules and Maryland right next door have a different set of rules is a dumbass thing to do.
why?
Why? Because they're inches away from each other.
So
And so what do you mean so? There
I
should
said
be
so.
there should be one large rule that everybody in the country can follow. We used to have that until what I'm calling a activist judges on the Supreme Court shot it down. We had rules in place. We had understandings in place. They shot that down. Now it's chaos. Now it's every state for themselves. And that is nonsense. It's a shit way to organize things. It's not organization. It's in fact chaos and
Oh,
disorganization.
what you're arguing for is nationalization of certain policies,
Right, because it makes
which I actually
sense.
disagree with. I don't
Okay.
think it makes sense.
How does it?
Um, what is good for Colorado may not be good for Alabama, right? Uh,
Within certain
and
rules? Sure.
what those people want is also going to be different. Are the states in the United States of America? Some of them are larger than many other countries.
Hmm.
Um, it's the idea that state sovereignty is something that we should not, or something that we should forego, doesn't make sense to me.
I think you're going too far with it. If the states want to have a different sales tax, I don't mind that. If they want to have different gun laws, honestly, I don't mind that. They should be different in Manhattan than they are in Montana. I understand the idea that you need different gun laws in Manhattan than you do in Montana. That makes sense. But this, no. This should be the same everywhere you go.
There's a little bit of creep that happens as the federal government continues to take more and more power.
Hmm.
Um, there is no point at which it rescinds that power. Or if it does, it happens very infrequently. And this would be another step towards what you're suggesting would be another step towards the federal government consolidating more power. And I don't like that.
That's not power. That's rules. That's guidelines.
No, the
Telling
ability for the federal government to make those rules and guidelines is the power.
I recognize that you have to have power to create rules and implement guidelines and enforce them. That requires power. I understand the idea,
Right.
but
And the demonstration of that power is the enforcement and implementation of those rules in the first place.
okay,
When we let them do that, that is what gives the power.
okay. So you're worried that the federal government will have too much power, but you're accepting of Virginia putting women on trial and a doctor on trial.
Virginia is Virginia. Virginia does
Virginia
what
is
Virginia
Virginia.
wants.
Virginia is full of people, and those
Yes,
people are
Virginia
going to
is full of
be
Virginians.
right, and those people are going to be harmed by a minorities, a minority of political activists, decisions. What do they do at that point? They
Leave.
have to leave. They're poor. They can't leave. This is where their job is. This is where their kids are. This is where the house is. They bought a house. They've got a 30-year mortgage. You can't just leave. You have to have someone to appeal to, and that would be the federal government. If the state passes a law that is clearly unconstitutional, it should be tried on the federal level, right?
A state has a law that is unconstitutional. It should be tried at the federal level. Yes.
Okay.
But that has to be. But you're assuming that this bill is unconstitutional in the first
It
place.
wasn't. I mean,
And
wait. It isn't anymore,
and
but it would have
any
been last
bill,
year.
any bill can actually be contested as unconstitutional. It's a matter of whether the courts
Right.
determine that it is or isn't.
Right. I agree.
And maybe
Yeah.
they will, because I'm sure that this is being litigated,
Yeah.
and the courts will decide
Why?
whether or not this is
I'm gonna-
constitutional or not. And again,
Mhm.
this will be our legal system working in the way that it's intended.
Mm,
So
this didn't.
this is
This was a settled problem until activist judges dicked up Roe versus Wade last year. This bill wouldn't have been passed. This litigation wouldn't have happened. and it
no.
wouldn't have gone all the
Roe
way up.
versus Wade was passed by activist judges.
It was.
It was rescinded by constitutionalist judges. First of all,
I
and
disagree completely.
even Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that Roe versus Wade was improperly decided.
I know, because the conservatives wouldn't let it pass properly. We covered that last week, but I am under the impression that the people who destroyed or threw out Roe versus Wade when it was a 50-year-old law, that seems
Wasn't a
exceptional
law.
to me. Or 50-year-old
Ruling.
ruling,
And there it is.
and that ruling.
See, I told you about
dictates law.
legislating from the bench before.
That ruling dictates what the laws are.
And now you agree that Roe v. Wade was legislation from the bench.
It was legislation from the bench? No, it was a ruling
That you
on
just called it a
legislation.
law, dude.
I just
You
called
just
it a
called
law.
it a law.
Okay, so that makes it legislation from the bench?
Yes, that when you think of
They
it
make
as
decisions on
legislation,
laws.
it's legislating from the bench.
They make decisions on laws,
Yes, but they don't create laws, or they're not supposed to.
and they didn't create it.
Roe v. Wade was one of those instances where they essentially created a law. Yes.
No, they had two sides, and they met in the middle. They invented that trimester. You said trimester a bunch of times. That was created with Roe v. Wade, right? So this creation of a middle of the
It said trimester in regards to that one paragraph that I saw down there
right and
about where
did
the trimester is at.
that word came from the Roe v. Wade explanation, and it split it up into trimesters. It was easy to get in the first trimester. It's medium difficulty to get abortions in the middle, and it's very difficult to get them in the late, in that third trimester. And that created a framework that states could now pass laws. But that framework has been exploded. That framework has been removed. And now without framework, we have chaos. We have random states doing random ass things.
Yes, and that is going to happen.
That's not a
when
good idea. That's bad. I like structure. Don't.
Things are going to have to normalize. At some like the states are going to have to do what the states are going to do.
It was
And
normalized.
at some point, well, it wasn't normalized properly.
It was.
If you wanted, look, if you, as I have continued to repeat, if they wanted the ruling from Roe v. Wade to be enshrined into federal law, then a federal legislature should have passed it.
And then it would just get. It would continue to get challenged in a court.
And eventually, a court will decide if the legislature passing this bill is constitutional or not.
And they did that with Roe v. Wade.
No, there
They
was
said
no
it was
bill that
constitutional.
there was no bill that Roe v. Wade was deciding on. Roe v. Wade was deciding on an individual's right to privacy
Right.
in an abortion.
And they
There
decided
was
that
no
was
bill that
constitutional.
was being decided on. If the legislature had passed a bill saying abortion is legal up to this point by federal law, and no states can contest that, then that is when it would be decided by the courts if it was legal for them to pass that law. But Roe v. Wade was not enshrined into law at any point. Roe v. Wade was a decision that was made on the basis of individual privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if you wanted abortion rights enshrined into federal law, it should have been passed by a legislature. Straight up, that's the end of the argument right there. I mean, why didn't they do it?
I don't know.
There you
Because
go.
they're wieners, and Democrats are wimps. If they had balls, they would have. But if they had balls, they wouldn't be Democrats anymore.
Yeah, they'd be Republicans.
They'd
No,
be
I'm just kidding.
they'd be leftists. I got you.
They'd be
No,
Trumples.
they'd be Trumples. Yeah, it'd be great. If the Democrats had balls, they wouldn't be Democrats. It's a very weird situation we're stuck in. But that causes, I mean, even that causes more instability. You are making good points about Roe v. Wade. It wasn't based on law. Okay. But it was a decision made by the court that could be applied to all of the decisions in that situation. And they thought that there was a constitutional right to privacy, and I can get behind that. I think that's fine. Um, I don't think that them blowing it up 50 years after it happened and dumping it is conservative. I mean, it is in one of the definitions of the word.
What I think what you're looking for, the word you're looking for is to have done that is volatile.
Yeah, it is. It's volatile. I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm. That's the point I'm trying to make. You're right. You've said it well. Um,
Yes, there is going to be some volatility when major decisions are made. That does happen. Yes.
Especially if you're flopping backward a decision that was made 50 years ago. It causes volatility. It's causing this confusion within these states, and I don't trust state lawmakers to do it right.
I don't think that we should refrain from making decisions that will cause volatility if those decisions are correct. So the fact that they will cause volatility in the end is not something that I think. I mean, it is factored into the decision to make those choices, but I don't think that the volatility of the decision is something that is a deciding factor.
Okay. I agree with that sentence. We just disagree on what's correct and what's not.
As we always do.
Mm-hmm.